Welcome to Throttle Only. My name is Nate. This is a 2024 Kia EV9. Let's check it out. All right, so let's hop right on into the bold exterior styling here on this fully electric Kia EV9. So first, let's start with this beautiful paint color. It's called Ivory Silver Matte, and depending on the lighting, this just looks absolutely amazing. It'll reflect sunlight and give it different colors as well. And adding to the boxy appearance that this SUV has, there are two body lines above each wheel on the hood. So in the very front here, we also have a brushed aluminum look for the Kia badge there. And then in the very front here, there's no grille or anything. It just continues on with that beautiful paint color there. Keep in mind that the headlights will also have a certain design on the front here if you choose a color other than the two matte options. As we continue on down, there is a small grille there at the bottom that is adaptive. It'll open and close depending on the cooling demand. And with the black and silver accents here on the front fascia, it definitely gives it more depth and dimension. There's also a front camera here that is hidden just above the license plate there. And for the headlights, which are definitely my favorite design piece here, there are two separate columns of LED projector headlights. And then on the outsides there are daytime running lamps. And when you turn on the turn signals or the hazards, the daytime running lamp will replace in an amber color. All right, so now at the side of the vehicle here, let's just point out the body lines, especially since we have this beautiful ivory silver matte paint color. It definitely brings out the two primary body lines here. So in the very back, we have one that sits along the middle of the vehicle and then extends out like this. And then we also have the same concept here in the very front of the vehicle. It does the same thing in the opposite direction. So now let's look at these beautiful wheels here. They definitely have an EV futuristic vibe to them. There's black in the very center here and then some silver on the outside. And the black piece in the very center is plastic. So as far as the tire setup here in the very front, they are two 75/50, and then we also have the same size tires in the rear, two 75/50. So just up above from the wheels here, there are some nice gloss black trim here, and then it'll also extend down below the doors and then to the back or the rear wheels here. And here's a quick look at the mirrors here. The LED indicator is on the outside. This also has a camera underneath that'll help with the overall surround view cameras. There's a blind spot monitoring sensor on the inside of the mirror there, and these mirrors also will dim and fold. And here's a look at the door handles with proximity sensing. The door handles will also retract all the way into the body of the vehicle when the vehicle is locked. Down below, there is an additional side step that can be added on. And then up top, there are nice silver roof rails. And lastly, the charge port door is located on the passenger rear side. You can easily unlock that door using the buttons on the inside of the vehicle. And now onto the rear exterior styling here. Starting at the very top, there's a shark fin antenna. And then as we come on down, there's some nice styling pieces or grooves here on top of this roof spoiler here. Definitely adds to some styling, but maybe also aerodynamics as well. So on this roof spoiler here, we have the third brake light. There's also a camera here that will be for the rear view camera, and the reverse camera is down below where the license plate is. And then additionally on the back of this EV9, they have a nice Kia badge here in the brushed aluminum color. There's also an EV9 badge that looks pretty good as well. And then the overall styling here in the back, there is a body line just underneath that Kia badge. And then there's some nice gloss black on the bottom half of this vehicle as well. And the most interesting styling pieces here are the tail lamps. I think they look pretty good. They are in this nice LED, interesting design here. And then if you turn on the turn signals, it will flash in red. It does have a nice 3D effect to it. I think it looks pretty awesome. There are 5 trims for the Kia EV9. Light rear-wheel drive, light long-range rear-wheel drive, wind all-wheel drive, land all-wheel drive, and the GT line all-wheel drive. Here is a look at all of the features included with the land trim that I'm reviewing. It has a 379 horsepower, 443 pound-feet of torque. It's all-wheel drive and it has a battery size of 99.8 kilowatt hours. And it also has an EPA estimated range of 280 miles. So let's take a look at the front trunk space here. We're going to use the key fob to hold and unlock it. So there's a pretty small area here, as you can see. This is about all you get here in the front trunk for the Kia EV9. All right, so let's look at the trunk space here on this EV9. So there are a couple ways you can open the trunk here. So you can use the key fob. There's also a small button underneath the license plate that you can just push. And you can also use the button on the inside of the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and use the key fob. I just have to hold this button down right here. All right. So I have the third row up and I left some of my gear in here just to give you an idea of how much space you'll have. There's that. And let's look up top here real quick. So there's a nice handle if you want to use that. You can lock the vehicle. You can also lower the gate with the buttons there up top. And with the items removed, this is what it looks like. There's a little bit of storage space underneath here. You can see there's some items already there. And then on this side, at the very bottom, there's a small little accessory hook here, 12-volt adapter. You can also lower the gate as well. And then some hooks here. And on the other side, there's an AC adapter, and then you can also move up the second row there. And then there's also some more hooks there. And if you're looking to lower the third row, you'll have to use these little pull tabs here with some Velcro on it. Just pull like that, and then lower them that way. And you can do the same on this side as well. And that is about how much space you have with the third row all the way down. And using these buttons to put down the second row, this is how much space you'll have. You can see there is a lot of room here with the second and the third row folded down. And if you're looking to put back up the third row, you'll just have to use these little pull tabs like this and just lock it into place like this. And there you go. Before we hop into the third row, let's look at this door panel here in the rear. So first off, there is a sunshade that is manual. You can easily put that up there. And then let's look at the quality of materials here. So there's a little bit soft touch here. I really like this plastic trim here. There's a little bit of chrome as well. Heated and ventilated seats in the rear, which is pretty awesome. Pretty small armrest here, but it is padded. And then a little area for some storage there, as well as a handle. I really love this cloth material as well. And then there's a nice Meridian surround speaker right there. And then just a small area for some storage. Now, as we come on in, if you're looking to access the third row, you can easily just push this button right here and the seat will move forward. Now in the rear seats, let's see how comfortable they are. Yep, decently padded. And you can see here, I adjusted the seats so that one is forward and the other one is back. And if you want to do that, you'll have to use this little tab right here. And then once you're in the rear seats here, you'll have to just pull the seats using this little tab to however you want them adjusted. Now on the roof here on the third row, there is a vent, but there's no AC controls for them. And then you might also notice here there are two cup holders on either side. And then there's also one USB Type-C, and then you can see more speaker grills there as well. Now sitting in the second row as an adult, you'll be pretty happy. You have captain chairs here. They each have their own little ratcheting armrests as well. And just like some of the other luxury brands with 6-seaters or more, these seats will also tilt all the way back if you want a more relaxed ride. Now in front of both the second row passengers, there's a storage compartment here. There's also pretty cool material on the back of the seats here. And the headrests are pretty interesting. You can actually see all the way through them. They have this mesh net material. And as far as the overall comfortability back here, sitting in the captain chairs, these have heated and ventilated seats with 3 different levels, which is pretty awesome. And in the center here, there are 2 cup holders, and there's also a little compartment that will pull on out. It has a tray on top, and then on the inside, there's a massive amount of storage in there. Additionally, you have access to 2 USB Type-Cs, one on the driver's seat and then one on the passenger seat. Now above the second row passengers here, there is an LCD display with climate control and 2 vents, very easy to use. There's also a very nice sunroof as well. And then of course the grab handles and LED light that can be accessed, as well as an accessory hook. All right, and now to the passenger side here. Starting at the very top, there's a cool Meridian sound little tweeter here. Some plush material there, heated and ventilated seats on the front, of course. Very nice trim here. Some padding on the armrest, unlock and locking controls, as well as a window switch, a small area for storage, and then another giant Meridian sound speaker here. And then coming on into the vehicle, there's a blank sill here, All of the automatic seat controls are here. There's an EV9 cloth mat, leads up to the glove box and the dash here. Let's take a look inside of the glove box. It's a pretty deep glove box there. And then looking at these seats, the same seats that we saw in the rear, and then that mesh material here at the very top. And now onto the driver's side, starting with the top, we have the same Meridian Sound tweeter here, heated and ventilated seats, steering wheel heat button with 2 different levels, 2 automatic presets for you, window controls here, as well as mirror controls and child locks, storage down below, speaker grille, blank sill, automatic seat controls, except this one has another setting here for relaxation, and then this one will also adjust the thigh support here. Same beautiful seats. And lastly, down below, we have rubber pedals. Now to the left of the steering wheel, you can open up the charge port door. You can double tap to open up the front. You can also hold to open up the regular trunk, turn off your traction control. This is an electronic parking brake, and then you can also adjust the brightness. From the driver's seat, you can adjust the passenger seat by using these controls here on the side. You can move the seat forward like this, and then you can also tilt depending on what you want to do. And here's a look at the center console / armrest, which is very padded. Just push here to open. There's a small little storage area in the back here, an area to put your phone for some charging. There's also a fingerprint scanner. You can access your profile by easily just putting your finger on here, an auto hold button for the brake, a hill descent button, a quick camera button, and then a parking sensors button. In front of that, we have this cool little area here we can open up. It'll display a little storage area, but the cup holders are not visible. You'll just have to push these buttons here, and then they'll come on out. And if you want to put them away, you'll just have to turn them in the direction with the little arrows, and then you can easily just slide this back on up to hide it. Now under the center console and in front, there's a pretty big storage area right here, as you can see, as well as some accessory ports here, 2 USB Type-Cs, and there's also a 12-volt adapter. If you just push here, it'll reveal itself. And here's a look at the climate control panel here. Very easy to use tabs, just push up or down, and then it'll also just tell you on the screen everything that's going on. There's a small area here on this side here that'll also show you what's going on. I find that a little bit difficult to see though. In my driving position, it is blocked right here. There's also a hazards button in the center, volume control knob, and then different modes here for the air. And then of course another temperature button there for the passengers. And then there's a vent here on that side, 2 in the center, and then 1 on the left side here. And here's a look at the center display here. The climate control stays up on the left side here. There are some quick buttons down below: home, map, search, media, favorites, and setup. And this will also give a haptic feedback when those are pressed. We go ahead and hit home here. There's the home screen. And then as we swipe, there are some apps here. If we click setup, then we have all of the setup options here. If we click vehicle, these are all of the items that you can adjust in the vehicle: driver assistance, drive mode, active sound design, climate, seats, lights, doors, digital keys, and convenience. If we go back to home, swipe again, go back to setup. There's also the EV option here, battery condition, utility mode, smart regeneration, so you can choose what kind of deceleration mode you want, charging alerts, and then there's a lot more settings here if you want to adjust those. And another cool little feature here is the quick control section. If you were to just swipe down from anywhere on the infotainment there, there's a passenger talk button. If you were to just push that button, you can adjust the volume and talk to your rear seat passengers so that they can hear you better. And here's a look at the quick camera button here. If I touch that there, this has a front camera. You can also look at some of the other views here. And then of course the rear views. And this also has surround view cameras. And here's a look at the EV9 steering wheel with the Kia logo in the very center that does illuminate when it is dark outside. The steering wheel feels pretty good as well. It is a little bit flat up here on the top, and then same with the bottom. The drive mode button is here. Four-wheel drive lock is also on this side. And then on this side here, we have the cruise control buttons here. You can adjust the distance, the lane keep, as well as the steering assist. And then if you want to select specific tabs, use the document button right here. That'll bring up this tab here. And then you can also use the scroll wheel, at least on this specific section, to see other items here. And that's it for that section. If you push it again, it'll show you some other items there. And then on this side here, we have the volume control knobs, which is located here. And then a mode button for the media, favorites, and phone button. Here's also a look at the drive modes. I'll push the drive mode button down below here. Here's normal, there's sport, my drive, snow, and eco. And then you can have the drive mode gauges change depending on the drive mode, and you could just do that in the infotainment screen. And then on the back of the steering wheel, it's pretty cool. This has a plus sign here on the left, and that'll increase the amount of regenerative braking that you have. And then on the right side, there's a minus, and then that will, of course, decrease the amount of regenerative braking that you have. Now, as we look at the items up top here, starting with this mirror, so does this have a regular mirror, and then it also has a digital mirror there. And then this has two sunroofs, both of which are closed right now. This first button here will open the first sunroof, and then the second button will open the shade for the rear. And this front one can also be tilted as well. Let's look at the visors here. So these visors are pretty massive, as you can see. There's a pretty giant mirror here as well. Let's fold it on out. So that's about the coverage that you'll get here. And let's see if they fold. And they push outward, which is pretty nice. Okay, so heading out in the Kia EV9. So first off, to start the vehicle, there's not a push button on the dash. There's actually a separate stalk here. So on that stalk, you just put your foot on the brake first, and then touch the stalk where it has the power button, and the vehicle will come alive. And then on that stalk, you'll just have to twist it to select whatever gear you're in. All right, so let's go ahead and head off here. So using the drive mode button down here on the steering wheel, I'll go ahead and switch it on into sport mode here, because we're going to be doing a couple of 0 to 60s. You can see here I'm at 85% charge. So one thing to note here that I mentioned a little bit earlier while talking about the steering wheel here is there are paddle shifters on the back. So if I were to use the left one here, it has the plus symbol. And if you were to look on the dash here, it has a little area that will let you know the amount of regenerative braking that you're receiving. And it goes from level 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or I pedal max. So I'm going to keep it at I pedal max. That'll give me the most deceleration. And let's go ahead and head off here. And you might also hear the sound here, which is the active sound design. I have it on the loudest mode. All right, so let's go ahead and do a 0 to 60 here from 0. Oh yeah, and there's 60. So that is decently fast. So that is 5.5 seconds. I've been getting that pretty consistently on draggy. Of course, it'll change depending on if you are going downhill or something like that. Let's go ahead and do another one here at 0. Yeah, so that feels pretty good there. So you can also use the 4-wheel drive lock as well. Since this does have the all-wheel drive system, it is a little bit rear wheel bias, but if you want to make sure that it is completely using all 4 wheels, you can go ahead and use that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the cruise control here. And I'm also going to use the lane keep as well, and let's just see how it does. And this will also want you to keep your hands on the steering wheel. Of course, that's going to be the safest thing anyway, but this is really nice on the highway, not so much really in the city, maybe if you're in traffic or something like that, but generally I just use this on the highway, and it is just really smooth and really nice. So let's go ahead and put it into eco mode here, because I mean, this is an electric vehicle. Probably want to drive it a little bit more efficiently, and then the acceleration is just significantly lower, which is totally fine. So the comfortability in this, as far as the seats, very, very comfortable. I love the look too, with the black and the gray. Having heated and ventilated seats, especially ventilated seats, is very, very nice. Generally speaking, I have that on all the time. So as far as the visibility is pretty good. I mean, the mirrors are absolutely gigantic. It has pretty big windows in the rear as well. And then as far as your second or your third row passengers, that's not really an issue, since it does have the digital rear view mirror up here, which is pretty cool. So as far as the overall range, I was sitting at about 85% when we started this. I've only driven a couple of miles. As you can see here, it's already at 84%. It does estimate that this will drive about 280 miles, but that is also with a full charge and perfect conditions and stuff like that. If it were me, I would keep my Kia EV9 at probably about 80-85% from daily charging. Keep in mind though too, if you are buying an EV, just make sure that you look at the overall network that would be used to charging if you don't have home charging. For example, a Tesla is obviously going to use the Tesla superchargers. We've all seen them everywhere. But for other vehicles, you have to rely on another network, and the primary one is Electrify America. Personally, I haven't had really good experiences with Electrify America at all. And so if it were me and I didn't have home charging, I think I would probably not buy this, just because I don't want to rely on that supercharger network. So that is definitely something to keep in mind, or to look into wherever you're buying one. It doesn't even have to be a Kia, but some other electric vehicle. So other than that, I mean, this vehicle has so many cool amenities. It definitely does put a dent in the EV market, and I would definitely consider buying one, especially since I do have the home charging. So other than that, guys, I really hope you gained something from this review. I hope you learned something. I hope you were even able just to see the vehicle if you're just interested in what it looked like. If you did enjoy, consider subscribing to the video. It definitely means a lot to me. I also have shirts available on my website, and you can just find that on my YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.